Okay, hello everyone. Today I'll be sharing my deck list of Alestiel, which is a combination of white wings and black wings. It has black swing ability, but only just a very small factor. And I'll be also using it. Mostly the cards are based on white wings because white wings is based on power, increasing power every time. However, black wing is just reducing opponent's power after using for around 6 months. I found out that if mixing white wings and this if I use my current deck list, I can pretty much have a fair fight with some of the opponent's deck. So even though it's a bit late, after Alestiel is released, I'll be still be sharing my deck list. So I'll get to it. Okay, so this is a starter. Starter I'll be using the monochromic personality Alestiel. If you go second, you get a draw card, a standard skill for a forerunner. Second, I'll be using Indecisive Sky Alestiel. This is the card that lets your bind zone starts. So if with white wings, when you write, when you would write from your right deck, you may show +1 instead of choose a card from your hand and discard it. All of my just a reminder, all of my cards are in Japanese version, so I might not pronounce their name perfectly. So if it's black wings, uh, if it's black wings or your opponent's grade 1 or less, Vegas cannot attack this unit. So for grade 2, same, where this unit is right upon Vanguard, choose a card from your bind zone, put it with the bottom of your deck. If you put a card, then bind the top deck. So now, if it's white wings, it's counter +1. I get 1 critical. And if it's black wings, I get to the opponent cannot guard with grade 1, cannot guard with trigger units to guard. So it is the grade 3. I'll be using Archangel or Twin Wings Alestiel. At the beginning of main phase, choose a card from your bind zone, put it into your hand. If you put a card, bind the top card of your deck face up. So basically, this card is the one that continues let bind zone running, even though you won't you won't be riding any more card. So now, White Wings is during your turn, this unit get 5k and 1 critical. If you black swing during your turn, all your opponents get -5k. So, what is White Wing and Black Wings? White Wing and Black Wings is basically when you get white wings is when in your bind zone it has an even odd number. If it's black wings, that means it's an even number. Okay, so that is all for the starter deck. So now I'm gonna talk about the grade threes. Okay, so now I'll be talking about my grade three. So basically, what my grade three has, I'm playing the basic three Alestiel. Then I play 4 copies of Vocal. Why I play 4 copies of Vocal? Because Vocal is the second most important part of the deck because of a skill. When Vanguard is written upon, I can bind this card into my bind zone and I get to draw a card. And if this card is in bind zone, then what I get is she basically let me use both black wings and white wing skill, which is quite overpowered. So if the opponents know how Alestiel deck work, then they will try to eliminate these cards as soon as possible. So the next card is Enveloping Compass Tokyo. Tokyo skill is basically let her boost another 10k to herself, which is quite overpowered. However, it must be in white wings. So when it's white wings, she get 10k. So basically, she herself is 23k. Then when end of the battle, you may choose whether you want to soul charge her into your soul. So that's all for all the grade threes. Next, I'll be moving to grade two. Okay, so now for grade two. This is the only grade two I'll be using because my whole deck is more to white side. So to prevent myself from getting a grade 2 in my bind zone, so I only put 4 grade 2s, because if, for example, I get a trigger in my bind zone, that means basically I don't get to have white wings anymore. So basically this card can save me, even though there's another grade 3. However, the cost is quite big. So in order to prevent that, I choose not to put it in. And furthermore, because it's a grade 3 and it just added her grade, increases the grade of your bind zone. So I choose this better because I have a chance, if I have vocal in my hand, I can just add her into the bind zone. So what his skill is, her skill is, when this unit is placed on rearguard and I have a Vanguard Alestiel name, I can show +1. Choose a card from your bind zone and put it into your hand. If you put a card into your hand, choose a card from your hand and bind it. So if I'm in black wings, or for example, uh, if I have vocal in my bind zone, what I can do is, when I attack and opponent grade is greater or greater, I can counter +1 and the opponent gets -5k until end of turn. So next is all of my grade ones. I'll be sharing my grade ones now. Okay, so now I'll be talking about my grade ones. Grade 1, I'll be using 3 copies of Wings with Rainbow Glow Emerald. Why I choose her? Because she is one of the cards that can boost me with a lot of power if I play correctly. So her skill is, when it's written on Rearguard Circle and the opponent Vanguard is great together, I can counter +1. Choose one of your Rearguard. For every 3 of your units with odd grades, they get 5k and 1k until the end of turn. So later, I will show you how to use her. The next one is spokesperson of Heavenly Voice, Hajul. Hajul is not a powerful card, but her skill, it makes her more flexible. I think you can say something like that. Because of her, I can basically, what I can do is, when it's played on Rearguard Circle from hand, must be home hand. I can counter +1, choose a card with White Wings ability and not same name as this card. I can, from my drop, and I can call it to an open Rearguard Circle. So basically, what her skill is, make my deck more flexible. For example, if I have any cards that are in my drop zone that I have thrown for guard, I can use her to pull it back. Later, I also tell you what's the pros and cons of this deck actually is. And so the next one is Sky Craving Motion, Medieval. Medieval is basically quite a common card. However, because I want my deck to be more powerful, I choose her. What the skill is, basically, if it's White Wings, I get another 10k for herself. That means I get 15k boost from behind. So the next one is the most basic Sentinel. So what her skill is, basically the same as what Sentinel, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit until end of battle. However, if your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand and discard it. If my hand is only 1 card or less, I can just choose not to discard any cards because that's a skill. So that's all for all of my grade 1. I'll be talking my trigger next. Okay, so now I'll be talking about my trigger. The trigger is, for my over trigger, I'll be using Blessed Diva Grizzle, which is an angel. I chose her because she's an angel, basically. So her over trigger effect basically is the same for all of the lyrical, only the visual art is different. So basically, if you get as a trigger, you get 100 million. Then, if, for example, if I get her as a drive check during this fight, all of my turn, all of my regard get 10k. So that's the most basic skill for the whole lyrical nation. So next is the critical trigger. I'll be playing a critical trigger. because I like crit. I just want to kill them quickly. Then I play faulty trigger and 3 draw trigger. The draw trigger is basically optional. You can change it to frontier to combo with to combo with her. Because if combo properly, she can maybe get around 50k and above. So that's all for triggers. Later, now I'll tell you how to use the combination. Okay, so now I'll be talking about how to play this deck. So basically, starting, you get to write her. Maybe if you go second, you get to draw a card. Then you discard a card. Okay, about discarding a card, if you got her, you can just discard her into your drop zone as because I have Hajul, which can basically counter +1 and take her back when I need her. So you can just discard her, but do not discard this card as you cannot get her back again. So that means you only have 4 chance to get 4 cards back. So that's the most important part. So after her, then go for the great one Alestiel. So if I get white wings, I just get to save my hand card. If I get black wings, that means I get to have less damage for my next turn. So the next one is this one, the grade 2 Alestiel. So what would I like to have is, if I get the white wings, I would just, if I have the grade 1 boost with me, I'll just call her. So what my rebel can do is basically white wings get 15k for herself. If I attack, I counter +1, then I basically get 25k with 2 crit. So I basically force the opponent to block it or they'll just take the damage. So basically it's a bit of rushing them if possible. Yeah, for me I'll just do it because I get to rush them. So then next I get to write Alestiel. Okay, so now after I write Alestiel, what I like to have in my hand is, so these are the few cards I like to have in my hand, which is Torquil, Vocal, and an extra Alestiel. This, if possible, I like to have all three. If not, maybe both of Vocal and Alestiel, as both of them play rule by rule. And for the grade 2, what if I can, I like to have Fernand in my hand. One Fernand in my hand is enough. Then maybe one Emil and one Hedgehog. So even if starting, I dump Emerald in my drop zone, I can use her Hedgehog to get her back. Then I can just call her to the gas circle. So if possible, I would also like to have her. So I just teach you what I would do in every time I play Alice still. So if I just write, I would just call if I have the common card for this one. Her name is Mabel. So I'll just call her one card. Just one card is enough. I'll just call her one card. So basically, every time I get a 15k boost from behind, so basically it's quite powerful already. Then that's what I'll do for the starting. If I have one Alestiel in my hand and one vocal, I'll just call vocal to the guard. So to prevent her from getting killed from by the opponents, I just call her to the guard. So they won't kill her. Only then I'll write Alestiel. Listen, only you do this combo, this two combo. If only you have one Alestiel in your hand, or else don't do it because you just let her sit there. If you don't Alestiel, she just sit there and do nothing. Because if she dies, then only you have another 3 copies left because her skill can only activate once per turn. I mean, like, you must get her off, then put back. She cannot stay there continuously with her skill. So, what I can recommend is, that's why I say you must have one Fernil in your hand. So, for example, if your next turn, after the basic combo of Vulcan and Alestiel. She's here already. What you can next turn is, what you can do is, right for Neil, pay the cost, get her back, then dump her again here. Then she just give you the skill, which you can use Black and White Wings again for both. So that's one of the first combo I'll do. My next combo is what I would do if I have a perfect deck on my hand. I mean, not deck, I mean cards on my hand. So, for example, if previous one I get to do this, I get to Persona right. Oh, my front will get 10k. I push her to bind zone. I get to draw a card. I'll just put 2 Tokyo here to get an extra power. Where's my Tokyo again? Here's my Tokyo. Toggle, where are you? Okay, I'll just put my toggle here. So basically my front row is whooping 13, 10, and another 10 is basically 33k without boost. So what I would do is, I told before that you can just put her when you want to pay the cost in order to ride. So I'll just call Hedgehog, pull Ariel from drop zone to open rear guard circle, and pay the cost. So what her cost would do, for every 3 odd grades, I get 5k 1 crit. So I got 6. Not this one, of course. So I got 6. Basically, I get to have choose 2 cards with 5k 1 crit, 5k 1 crit, 5k 1 crit. Okay, so what I was skill, I can choose one of the cards. She get 5k 1 crit and for another 5k 1. That means it's 10k with 2 crits. However, I cannot choose another one. So what I would also do is, if my hand have another roll, I'll just write. Then maybe the side also can get 5k and 1 crit. If possible, maybe I wish a skill would be choose maybe just one and then a separate. But however, her skill stated that choose one of your regard. So I can only choose one. So basically, what it will achieve is basically get 3 crits, 2 crit, and 3 crits. And if possible, just add her here. Then I get 10k boost, 10k boost. So, however, just be mind that you also need to save cards for defending also. So this is what I would do when I have a perfect deck. I mean, not deck. I mean the cards that I need in my hand in order to play this. However, if I play this, all of the cards are from my hand. Then I wish that would be the final turn, because they would just kill me without any cards in my hand. Okay, so now what I'm gonna talk about is, what if I get the bad cut in the bind zone? What I mean is, you get a grade 0. So what I would like to do is, I'll just write Fenrir and just change it out. So depending on my card, I mean depending on my hand, I would like to call vocal if possible. But depending on how I play, for example, if I can rush them, if a full set, I would just call vocal to just crush them. So I get 5k 1 crit and then minus 5k for them. So that's what I would like to do. And if I don't have, I'll just call any grade 1, maybe a sentinel. Yeah, you can just call a sentinel, because if you survive this turn, the next turn you can just take the sentinel back. So you won't lose it anyways. So that is what I'll do if I screwed up. Then yeah, the most basic combo is try to get the grade 1 Mabel, which can let you get the basic boost. Where's Mabel? Where are you? Okay, just call her. This is the most basic. If possible, just call her out. Yeah, and the rest you can just keep in hand. Use it for defense until you wait for the perfect opportunity to rush them. So that's what I would do if the card's screwed up. And the most basic is I would like to have this tree, and my hand would have at least one fennel. Fennel is the most basic one that I must have in my hand. So if you got fennel, don't throw it away. This card can save the entire game if you screwed up. Okay, so now I will just talk about which card you can change it out. So you can change out three cards. So you can change out Tokel, and maybe you can change out member. Yeah, you can change this too. If, for example, you can keep Tokel if you want. You can change it also if you want, but it depends. For me, I don't want to change it, but just a recommendation. You can change to brand new player. You can change to brand new player Bibble, which her skill is so plus one that is you need to draw a card. Just up to one trigger unit from bind zone and engage grade one and at the end of turn. Basically, what her skill is basically a replacement of Fennel. However, for me, her skill is a big cost, so I will not use her. I would just prefer to use Fennel. If I use Fennel, furthermore, if I get to have vocal in my hand, I actually can just write her onto my bind zone, which is a bonus for me. However, because of her skill at 5k, shield it might be good for some people as you get to have extra shield there. So secondly, you can also change out Mabel. You can change Mabel to two of these, which is Song of Salvation Tool and Little Peace Prayer. Okay, I'll talk about Pure Skill first. Pure Skill first is have this White Wing. She gets 2k power. That means she gets 10k total. And if she's defending, she gets 5k shield. And for this one, for Twirler, if it's guard zone, she gets extra 10k. So basically, you get an extra shield into defend. You can choose to replace Mabel because Mabel only gets 10k and that's all she does. But for me, I prefer in stronger power. I prefer in power. However, you can just change them out. Okay, so if you change them out, just try to adjust it to how you like it. You want more power or you want more defending. You can change it. If you change to a girl, maybe no need because you can just change out Vanille to just replace all the great trees. However, if you replace a few of them, you will get it's harder for you to put more curl into your bind, so that means it's harder for you to get white wings and black wings. And if you use Vanille, you get to refresh her status in the bind zone for every turn. You get to take her out, put her back in, then you can use a skill again. So it's a bonus, but if you want to change, it's possible. However, that would suit your playstyle. Okay, so that's all for the cards that you can change. Yeah, also you can change to front trigger by placing the draw trigger or critical trigger, also possible. But it depends on how you like your deck be. And okay, I'll be talking about the pros and cons for this deck. So basically, right now, for only LBT03 of Lyrical Monastery has been released, 3 booster, and only booster 1, booster 2 have cards for Alestiel, and this deck has both of the booster. I only don't have the trigger effect for the cards. I may be getting it soon because Lyrical Monastery is giving out a booster 04 for all of the cards are for LBT01. So Alestiel is from LBT01. So she will also have a new support card, maybe a grade 3 or maybe a grade 4 of Alestiel, I don't know. Because her art design is different. I don't know. no, none of the skill has been released yet, only her image. So it will be released around April, early April, 4 April, I think, but I need to check again. I'll put the picture also in this video. And okay, the pros is basically this deck is quite powerful if you have the if you get the trigger at the correct timing, you can get maybe 50k and above. However, the cons is two, because I don't put any defensive card, I don't put any cards that at 5k or maybe 10k into my deck. I get killed easily. And secondly is, if for example if I get grade 0, grade 1, I mean grade 0 and grade 2 in my bind zone and I don't have a nail, that means that round itself I'm screwed. There's nothing I can do. I just don't call any cards, save all my cards. I'll just go and attack them with and all the cards that I have left on the field without any of the effects. Only Alestiel effect is on. So this is the pros and cons. So yeah, I think that is all from my video. I also attach the whole picture of the deck if you just want for review, and if you have any question can put in the comment section. I will be also posting for the cards in LBT04 on how to modify the deck. However, that will be the later because of my work. Maybe end of this year I'll put after I get the cards when I come back from work. So I think that's all. Thank you very much for watching and see you guys next time.